Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our podcast where we delve into the fascinating history. Today, we're turning the clock back thousands of years to explore one of the most transformative periods in human history, the Neolithic Revolution. Let's welcome our first guest, Areeba Khan, who is a civil engineer by profession. Hello, Areeba. How are you? Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hello, Hania. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I have done civil engineering from NED University of Engineering and Technology, and right now I'm working at Vigilant Consultancy since 1.5 years.
That's great, Areeba. So let's start from the basics. What exactly was the Neolithic Revolution and how did it differ from earlier ways of human life?
The Neolithic Revolution refers to the shift from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a settled agricultural communities. This major transition occurred around 10,000 BCE and it marks one of the most significant turning points in human history. Before the Neolithic period, humans relied on hunting wild animals and foraging for food. But with the advent of farming, humans began to cultivate crops and domestic animals, which led to more stable food supplies and the growth of permanent.
That's a big change. And how did this transition from a hunter gatherer lifestyle to agriculture impact early human societies?
The shift from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a settled agricultural societies fundamentally transformed human existence in profound and lasting ways. Agriculture provided a stable and reliable food supply, which allowed human populations to grow significantly as people were no longer dependent on the unpredictable cycles of hunting and foraging. With more predictable food sources, families were able to raise more children and communities could support larger and more complex societies. As people settled in one place, they began to form permanent settlements, leading to the development of villages, towns, and eventually cities. These settlements provided a foundation for the development of social structures and systems of governance. In these stable environments, individuals could specialize in different trades, leading to the rise of artisans, merchants, and skilled laborers. This specialization in turn encouraged trade both within communities and across regions.
Interesting. So, what role did climate change play in sparking this revolution?
Well, climate change played a key role. The end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago brought about a more temperate climate, which made it possible to cultivate wild grains in areas like the Fertile Crescent. The retreat of glaciers and the warming climate created more favorable conditions for plants and animals to thrive, laying the foundation.
And with farming, the domestication of plants and animals became a key part of the Neolithic Revolution. Can you explain why that was so significant?
Absolutely, the domestication of plants and animals was crucial. Humans began to selectively breed plants for better yields and nutritional value, and animals for traits like docility and productivity. This led to a more stable food supply and the beginning of agricultural surplus, which also set the stage for advancement in food storage, labor, and
That's really interesting. Finally, I want to ask you about how did the development of permanent settlements shape the early civilizations?
permanent settlements were transformative. They allowed people to accumulate resources, which supported larger populations and more complex social structures. As agriculture became more organized, people developed new tools, irrigation techniques, and specialized labor. Settlements also facilitated the rise of social hierarchies, governance systems, and eventually the formation of early civilization.
Alright, it was great talking to you, Reba. I personally had a great learning experience from you, and I hope our listeners also learned something new from you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Now, let's move on to another part of our podcast that will be hosted by another host. Thank you for listening, everyone.
This is Rimil. I am the new host. Let's welcome our new guest, Fatima. So, Fatima, what were some of the major innovations during the time of the Neolithic Revolution? And how did they change daily life?
Some of the major innovations during the shift to permanent settlements and the development of agriculture had a profound impact on human societies. Among the most notable of these innovations were the development of farming tools such as the sickles, the invention of the wheel, and advancement in pottery. These innovations revolutionized the way people produced and stored food, making agriculture work more efficient and less labor intensive. The sickle, for instance, enabled people to harvest crop more quickly and effectively than ever before, reducing the time and effort required to gather food. Similarly, the invention of the wheel was a game changer, allowing for the transportation of goods and people, which facilitated trade, the movement of resources, and overall expansion of communities. Pottery, another key innovation, provided a durable and efficient means of storing food and water, helping to preserve surplus supplies for times of scarcity and contributing to the development of more complex economies. Perhaps one of the most transformative innovations in agriculture was the development of irrigation systems. These systems allowed people to cultivate land that was previously unsuitable for farming, such as dry or flood prone areas. By diverting water from rivers or streams into fields through channels, canals, and wells, and irrigation made it possible to grow crops in a variety of environments, leading to an increase in food production and the expansion of agriculture territories. This not to allowed communities to grow larger but also gave rise to new forms of agriculture management such as crop rotation and land reclamation, which further improved productivity and sustainability.
With the rise of agriculture, we also see the emergence of social hierarchies. How did the rise of agriculture contribute to the growth of social hierarchies and division of labor?
The growth of agriculture allowed for surplus food, which meant that not everyone had to be involved in food production. This led to the specialization of labor. Some people became artisans, traders, religious leaders, or elites who controlled resources. These divisions of labor were crucial for the development of the more complex societies and early forms of governance.
But not everything was positive. Did the Neolithic revolution lead to any negative consequences, like health issues or environmental changes?
Yes, there were more negative consequences. One was a decline in health. Early agriculture diets were often based on a narrow range of crops, which led to poor nutrition compared to varied diet of hunter-gatherers. Additionally, living in larger, denser communities and in close proximity to domestic animals contributed to the spread of diseases. Environmentally, intensive farming practices caused deforestation, soil depletion, and long term environmental degradation.
It is interesting how such a profound changing in lifestyle could have such wide ranging effects. How did the Neolithic revolution spread to the other parts of the world? Were there any variations in how it unfolded in different regions?
The Neolithic Revolution, a pivotal transformation in human history, gradually spread from its origin in the Near East to Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond. This shift from a hunter gatherer lifestyle to settled agriculture communities had profound consequences on the development of societies across the world. However, while the movement of agriculture from its heartland, the Fertile Crescent, was widespread, the adoption of farming and transition to agricultural life was not uniform across regions. The pace, timing, and nature of the transition varied considerably depending on local environmental conditions, available resources, and cultural factors. In regions where agriculture spread through migration, trade, and cultural exchange, the adoption of farming was not often influenced by the availability of fertile land and climate patterns that favored crop cultivation.
And in many ways, this revolution laid the foundation for modern society. How do you think the Neolithic revolution set the stage for the world we live in today?
The Neolithic Revolution laid the groundwork for modern society by introducing concepts like land ownership, trade, and social organization. It also led to the development of cities, writing, and complex political systems. The agricultural surplus generated by farming freed up part of the population to engage in non agriculture activities, which led to innovations in technology, science, and culture. These changes were essential for the rise of modern civilizations.
Absolutely. It's incredible how such a long ago event still affects us today.
It really is. The Neolithic revolution wasn't just about farming, it fundamentally reshaped every aspect of human existence, changing not only how people obtained food, but also how they lived, worked, and interacted within societies. This transformation extended far beyond the introduction of agriculture. It marked the beginning of a new way of life, one that created the foundation for modern civilizations.
That's it for today's discussion. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with more insights on history next time. Goodbye, everyone.